Welcome to Lesson 23, Unit 3 of CKLA Skills. Now today we're going to be finishing up our personal narrative. So we're going to have our draft written. So we're going to have our first actual personal narrative written. Now last week you guys completed in Lesson 22, you completed that graphic organizer of your idea on what you were going to write on. So if you haven't come up with that idea yet, you need to make sure that you have that idea that you're going to write about, something that happened in your life, like a true event, and you have filled out that story elements page. So that would be the page that had your characters, your setting, and your beginning, middle, and end, your plot. That was page 139. Now today we're going to complete our draft of a personal narrative of your own. Now remember our writing process. So far we planned, we took our sheet home, we discussed some ideas that we could write about with our parents. We came up with some ideas on the board. And today we're going to draft our actual personal narrative. So we're going to use that page 139 and we're going to complete our draft. So we're pretty much going to take what we've written on paper, like our thoughts, and we're going to put it into sentence form. Now we've planned this personal narrative, and now we're going to draft our personal narrative. So you guys have read a couple of different personal narratives. Y'all read them last week. So you kind of have some ideas. The first one where the person that was about your age had been in a, not a snowstorm, but an ice storm. So they discussed where they were driving in the car. They kind of told you about getting in the car, experiencing the ice storm, and then stopping at Granddad's and spending the night at Granddad's because of the ice storm until the road was cleared off. You read another story about making cupcakes with Mom. So you're going to use what you have on page 139, that graphic organizer of story elements, to create your own paragraph, your own personal narrative. Now, remember how these personal narratives were laid out with that beginning, middle, and end. So when you're writing your personal narrative, make sure to kind of do it similar to the ones that we have looked at in class. Make sure to use that writing process. When you're discussing your actual event that happened in your life, make sure you can answer these 5 questions after you write. Who was there? When and where? So that's your setting. So when did it happen? Where? Explain in your own words where and when it took place. And make sure that the reader can understand what happened. So when you organize it in beginning, middle, and end, that's making it easier for the reader to understand it. So come up with that first event that happened, what happened in the middle, and then how it ended. Now you should have a sheet of paper in your packet. If you don't, just find one at home and use the sheet of notebook paper that you have. But you're going to write your own personal narrative. So when you're writing your personal narrative, the ones that we read in class, you could see how the paragraphs were indented. Make sure that you indent your paragraph. Now, when you're writing, I want at least 5 sentences. So you need to write 5 or more sentences. Now, if you're introducing to the reader what's going on, start off by telling them an opening sentence. So tell them, like for example, once I was in an ice storm. Like tell them exactly what you're fixing to talk about. So kind of catch the reader's attention by that first sentence. Now your last sentence that you write after you do your beginning, middle, and end, put your characters in there, put your setting. Your last sentence is going to close your paragraph. So this is going to be repeating what you just told them. And you may want to put a little bit of your own, kind of how you felt during this personal narrative, this event that happened. So the writer that was talking about the snowstorm ended his paragraph with, it was an exciting day riding in the car with Mom and Dad in the snowstorm, or in the ice storm. So you need to pretty much recall what you wrote about, but you can even put your feelings toward that event, just to kind of help the reader to understand how you were feeling. Now, when you're writing, make sure that you use lots of details. So this is something that happened in your life and you can talk a lot about it. So you're giving lots of details so they can almost imagine themselves being there. Now, when you're finished writing, make sure you can answer those 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. Now, this is just your draft. So tomorrow we're going to edit it with a checklist. So keep your draft in your folder until tomorrow. So today our learning targets were to plan and draft a personal narrative of my own. So make sure that you have that personal narrative written today because tomorrow we're going to edit our own personal narratives. All right, have a great day.